Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you're all doing good. Today is 9th September and today is Sunday, dear friends. I'm sure you all are enjoying your Sunday. Now, today I have got a special topic for you guys because on Sundays we don't get articles and editorials. But I believe this electronic vehicles or EVs, right, is a very important topic for your mains examination. And this is my personal observation that most of the time when we read something about EVs, it is limited to pollution only, and I strongly believe that pollution is not the only aspect that is associated with EVs. EVs are going to change the way we see vehicles. When I say see, I mean to say that our approach towards vehicle ownership related thing. Then there are many important questions that we need to ask, or there are many important areas or which we have to work, like production of EVs and production of electricity that is going to be work as a fuel for this EV. So there are many things that we are going to talk about today in this special topic. Now, if we observe our GDP expansion or growth rate at present, you know that India is termed as the fastest growing major economy in the world. And that also means that the demand of vehicles, right, it is going to be high in our country. And it is also said that in next decade, India is going to be number one as far as production of vehicles is concerned, as well as sales of vehicle. So what we need is we need more eco-friendly vehicles, isn't it? And the more combustion engine vehicles we produce and the more combustion engine vehicles we use, like diesel and petrol vehicles, right, the more carbon dioxide we are going to add with other pollutants, of course, then the limited fossil fuel that we have, right, we are going to run out of it if we produce and use more and more diesel and petrol vehicles. It is also creating, number of vehicles, and there is a surge in number of vehicles, and this is going to create extra unbearable pressure on our city infrastructure as well. We have to create more overbridges and we have to create more roads and other things, and this is of course going to drag away a huge amount of our money that we can use for building some eco-friendly ecosystem or things that can add value to our lives. As far as traffic is concerned, nowadays it is a big problem in all major cities of our country, even in towns as well. Traffic has become a big issue. If I take you through figures of 2017, then you find that 1,567,712 vehicles are just registered in the city of Delhi. So you can imagine the amount of pollution. At the same time, traffic, it is taking a toll on our life. We waste so many human hours in traffic, right? If you calculate it, then there are various different figures, but they say that we waste some years and years of our life in traffic. If we calculate or if we take an average like 1 or 2 hours per day, we waste in this traffic jams. The other thing is we find non-communicable diseases rising because of this traffic and pollution and other things. Relationship, we find stress in relationship as well. It becomes unbearable, for parents to manage everything, and the traffic creates huge amount of problems. So there are many things, that are associated with this rise in number of vehicles, as well as this extra pressure that we find on our roads, or you can say on our infrastructure, city infrastructure. So we need to change the way we are using our vehicles. We are going to talk about it as well, but let's first of all deal with this carbon dioxide and pollution aspect that is associated with automobile industry. Now, of course, electronic vehicle is going to be a very good option, to replace this diesel and petrol vehicles. When I say vehicles or when I say car, please take it as overall transportation system. You can take it, you can compare it, or when you can also take it as I'm talking about buses or trucks, or maybe trains and trams and metros, right? Because nowadays that most of these items like this bullet train will work on electricity. So it's going to be, these EVs are going to be less polluting. And the reason why I cannot say they are 0% or pollution free is because it depends on our generation perspective. Electricity production, right, the source of electricity production will decide whether these EVs are going to be polluting or non-polluting or less polluting. as far as EVs are concerned, and when we compare it with our traditional or conventional vehicles, then they are better in terms of total cost of ownership, because one time you have to pay a little bit extra compared to your diesel and petrol vehicle, but wear and tear will be less because it's not running on a mechanical engine that we find in this combustion engine that is basically a mechanical engine. So wear and tear is more on this conventional engines, and once we start this mass production, then cost is going to come down as well. So throughout your a certain period of time you're using this EV, it's going to work out cheaper. The other thing is it is going to drastically change our approach when it comes to vehicle, because if it is less wear and tear, or maintenance free, or maintenance cost is less, and if running cost or operating cost is less, then commercial businesses, right, they are going to get attracted towards this electronic vehicles, and the more commercial vehicles we find on our portfolio, it is going to help us to change this mindset. Now, what this mindset is all about, I will explain you in a minute, but first of all, let us look at this generation perspective. Now, EV is as clean as the electricity it uses. That means that if you are using electricity for your EVs, and if that electricity is coming from thermal sources, then you cannot term it as a sort of eco-friendly vehicle, because in our country at present 65% of our electricity is produced from thermal sources. So if we are going to use more and more electricity for this electronic vehicles, right, and if more and more electricity is coming from these thermal sources, then it is going to add more and more pollution, because at the end of the day we burn this coal, right, to produce this electricity. 65% is coming from by burning coals. The other thing is it is very important that we find a right balance. There should be an equilibrium between this share of renewable energy source as well as rise in electronic vehicles. It should be a sort of it should be supporting each other. It should be matching each other. The rise in electronic vehicle should be accompanied by rise in this electricity generation from renewable sources. Now, coming on to this behavioral thing, consumption perspective. What we need to get rid of traffic, to find a quality life balance, right? We need to change our behavior as far as this vehicles are concerned, because earlier on, remember when a household used to have just one vehicle, just one two-wheeler, it was considered as a big thing. Nowadays, you find one or two, on an average, two vehicles, two-wheelers per household it's a very common thing. It's not a sort of you can say signature or sign of luxury. Even cars as well, they are losing this charm nowadays. It is more about how expensive car you are driving, that matters. It's not that you have a four-wheeler. So things have changed, isn't it? And with the introduction of electronic vehicles, things are going to change even further, because if you go through some you can say surveys and some sort of facts, we find that an owned car, right, a private car, is ideal approximately 90% of the time. That means this particular product, we are not optimally utilizing it. But if it becomes means introduction of EVs, and if it is working out cheaper, right, for a commercial company, then we are going to find more and more rent a car sort of thing, where you can easily rent a car. You will find taxi services. You can self-drive it, or you can have a driver as well. And if per kilometer cost is reasonable, or if it is not that expensive, at present that if you hire a taxi, it is going to be a bit expensive compared to your privately owned car. But then if you work it out, right, then you find that your private car in long run will become a bit more expensive for you if you calculate it. But normally, the way our human behavior is concerned, there are many things. Of course, we don't want to go into it. But what we can say is that if a particular car, if one private car is lying idle for nearly 90% of time, that means that it is catering just a limited amount of people. And if we have more shared vehicles, and this electronic vehicle has this potential to change our behavior, because it will work out cheaper, more eco-friendly. And if just imagine if we have this culture of sharing vehicle, right? If owning a four-wheeler is not a matter of luxury, then it's not going to be a big deal whether you have a car of your own or not, because if car is easily available, in a nutshell I would say that if it is easily available via your mobile app or something, and if it's going to be cheaper to drive that one, then one vehicle can work for 12 hours. It will for a couple of hours you will use it. After that, someone will pick it up from you, that person will use it, someone else will. So in a day 4-5 people can use this one, and a particular car will be on road for 12 hours. So less cars we will find on road, so this will create less pressure on our infrastructure. Traffic problems will be sorted out as well. The other thing, as far as production is concerned, if we talk about overall ecosystem, because we are looking at various different angles here, so I'm just going to be as brief as possible as far as this generation is concerned, or electricity production is concerned, or this traffic management is concerned. Then the third angle that we can look at is this ecosystem of production. All right. Earlier on, what we used to find that automobile industries, they used to work in silos. Every company coming from various different countries, they will have their own way of working and designing cars and things like that. And power producing companies, may it be this oil companies or oil distribution companies or electricity companies, they used to work in silos as well. So there was no sort of you can say collaboration or a bridge that was connecting each other. But now what we need is a more integrated automotive power value chain, where you have multiple ministries working with each other, so that rules and regulations can be up to date, as well as they can be designed keeping in mind the necessity of present era as well as future era technical organizations. May it be associated with the battery or parts of a vehicle, or other power related thing, material related thing. All these industries, they need to come together. Niti Aayog and other think tanks should be on board as well. So basically, all different various different sectors that used to work in silos, now what we need to create this ecosystem where everyone will interact and will work in a more integrated fashion with each other. And once we do this thing, if we are going to focus on competition only, then this is not going to be healthy for electronic vehicles future. And it may look a bit mythical at present, but if you go through some examples like Suzuki and Toyota, Sun Mobility and Ashok Leyland, Mahindra and Ola, all these big names and big brands are collaborating with each other, because they know this thing, that if they are going to work just on their own, then this is not going to help them to come out with a sort of a breakthrough. So they are creating partnerships, and we need government as well as ministries and Niti Aayog and other power sector related industries, all these various different industries and government, and everyone needs to work together if we want to see a bright future of electronic vehicle. It is going to change the way things have been going on so far, as far as this our behavior or the way we take this recharge stations or petrol pumps. Traditionally we go to petrol pumps and top up our fuel tank and off we go. But now you will have multiple options, charging infrastructures, how we can create it at residential area, because electricity is available at your residential area as well, isn't it? At your commercial places, may it be at your working place, or if you visit a mall or something, then you'll be asked this, provided with this option that whilst you are shopping, do you want your car to get this electricity top up? You want to recharge your car? If you want, then you can finally pay that bill with your groceries and other things. Institutionals, we can have this electronic pumps or recharge stations at various different highways and other places. Then we will find fast DC charging options and slow AC charging options. Battery swapping is a very good idea, that you will have robots that will, if you visit a place, a robot will open your bonnet. That robot will swap your battery, it will take away this discharged one and put a charged battery, and off you go Of course, you have to pay for it and things like that. So all these things, we have to work on all these things, and a particular company cannot, a private company won't be able to. You can come out with a car, but if you don't have all these things, that is not going to help us. So as you can see here, we need to develop this whole ecosystem. And the other thing is that the more cheaper car production we have, the more fuel source we have, easy availability of recharge facilities. It is also going to change the way, we take cars. We may find less privately owned cars. We'll find more and more, you can say, pay-as-you-go cars, where you rent cars from a company, and once you use it, you deposit it. There will be some pickup points and dropping points and things like that. So these are the things I believe we need to work on. And if you find a question in your mains examination, or may it be a essay topic, if you are, if you talk about this holistic perspective on these electronic vehicles, only then I believe that it will work, because just pollution is just one angle. It's not a complete thing. So I believe today's discussion has added some value as far as this understanding of electronic vehicles and its future and ecosystem is concerned. With this, dear friends, if you are preparing for SSC and bank exams, then we have got pen drive and tablet courses for you guys. Check out StudyIQ.com. On your screen, you can see that we have got nearly 8 various different courses for you guys. You can download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page and Twitter handle. Now, let me take you through some important news items. Maneka Gandhi bypassed and nutrition norms cleared. Niti Aayog has approved the supplementary nutrition guidelines that were prepared by officials of this Ministry for Women and Child Development, because these views of the minister as well as these officials were clashing with each other. Even the Prime Minister's office was robbed in as an intervening agency to sort out this problem, because Maneka Gandhi, she was arguing for take-home ration to be sourced from Anganwadis with manufacturing facilities or through government or private undertakings, whilst these officials were saying that procurement for take-home ration should be done only from self-help groups. Meals should be presented in the form of ready-to-eat mixes, as Anganwadi workers steal the money provided for procuring raw material. That's what Maneka Gandhi said. But officials said that emphasis on local procurement for hot-cooked meals instead of ready-to-eat mixes should be offered. And Maneka Gandhi ji, she recommended soya milk, whilst officials said that officials were saying a big no for soya milk. So finally, these recommendations by these officials are approved by Niti Aayog, because in June 2018, R.K. Srivastava, who is a secretary of WCD ministry, he wrote to PMO about the delay in deciding on the norms and sought its intervention on to have a sort of quick or expedite this decision. Petrol prices, as we were talking about this fuel and EVs, as you can see here, that it has crossed the 80 rupees mark for the first time ever in the history of our country, and it's going to add inflation. If inflation is going to rise up, then it will become difficult for RBI to reduce interest rate, and this will impact investment and overall business climate. Now, as you can see here, in Delhi it is 80.38, in Mumbai it is 87.77. So I have a question for you guys. Like, we have GST then as well. Why we find that in various different cities and various different states, we have particularly various different states, we have different rates of petrol and diesel. Why is this thing going on in our country? That's a first question for you guys. And I have got one a sort of chart as well for you to observe. I'm not going to explain it to you because I want you guys to play around with it, observe it and learn from this chart, because this is how you are going to work in future. You want to be provided with big reports, you will have to go through various different charts and pie charts and other things, graphs, and based on that you have to make quick decisions. So that's what big CEOs, that's what they do. They are very good in understanding and comprehending this sort of charts and figures and facts. India was waiting for the longest road rail bridge in our country, and the name of this bridge is Bogibill Bridge. It's in this Assam on Brahmaputra River, as you can see here on picture as well. And the reason why it is important, because it was a big demand, from the army as well as people of this local area. They were demanding this bridge as well. But since I can say 1988, that means this 1997, things are, every time we are missing this deadline. The foundation stone was laid down in 1997. Back in 2002, inauguration took place. This construction started back in 2011. So a bridge that was supposed to be, executed in 1,767 crore rupees. Now we have to pay 5,800 crore rupees for the same bridge. So this is the cost of delay, and there are so many things, we have missed because of this bridge was not constructed on time. Anyways, moving on to another item. It is about Tilonia. Tilonia is a small village in Rajasthan's Ajmer district, and it is famous for its Barefoot College. Now, Barefoot College has been training women in various different fields like solar energies, artisans, dentistry, broadcasting, and creating doctors. And this thing is going on from last 4 decades, and now we have trained, in fact, 45. The reason why we have this thing in news is because 45 women from 10 different countries, they are called solar mamas. They have been trained in this creating this solar panels and lights and photovoltaic circuits and things like that. They have been going on under this training from last 6 months, and now they will go back to their country. They will work as change agent in their countries. I have a name of a river that is from Odisha. It is called Baitarani River. And the reason why it is in news, as you can see here, it is, this flood situation has created or disturbed the lives of 3 lakh people in Odisha. So just keep this thing in mind. Many times you find A and B type of match the following questions. That you will be given name of state and name of river, so you have to match the correct one or identify the incorrect one. So Baitarani River is from Odisha. That's the thing. A couple of days ago, we were talking about this BIMSTEC. Remember, the meeting recently took place in Kathmandu, and it is again in news because Nepal Army has withdrawn itself from this first BIMSTEC military exercise that was going to take place in India. And the reason is that there are some political disturbances going on in Nepal at present. Nepal Communist Party is not happy with Nepalese army taking part in this exercise, this BIMSTEC exercise. So finally, this Prime Minister KP Oli asked the National Defence Force not to participate in the drill. It's a big blow for this BIMSTEC. And then we have Syria in news again. Our MEA Sushma Swaraj, she was supposed to visit Syria, but because this big strike that Syrian government as well as Russia and Iran together, these 3 forces, they are going to hit this. In fact, they have started hitting this Idlib, which is a sort of a fort of these rebel forces. So because of this disturbances, it has been decided that Sushma Swaraj ji, she will not take part in this business meeting that was going to take place. And as per the CII, that is Confederation of Indian Industries, at present Syria is in such a position where investment it is providing big investment opportunity, but at the same time it's a very dangerous place as well. With this difference, Limau is again in news, so I thought let me provide you an infographic that will help you to revise this Limau thing. It is one of the 4 foundational agreements that we have signed with USA. It is between India and USA. Limau stands for this Logistic Exchange Memorandum of Agreement, and it is about we can access each other's army bases and other places, so we can have refueling of our ships, or you can say naval ships, as well as we can get some replenishment items for our soldiers in times of crisis, or maybe during our operations and other things. With this difference, what is a robot? A robot is, it's not a bat, but it is a sort of robot that works in the same way a bat works. Now, bat, that they work on this echolocation thing. They release this ultrasonic sound, and the reflection of this echo, based on that thing, they will judge what is where. And the same, this robot, of course, it's not going to fly, but it is a sort of a robot that will work on, or that will travel on land, but it will use this ultrasonic speaker to locate the things that are nearby this robot. So it's a very interesting innovation, and that's your answer for this map based question. It's a ring of fire. Most of you have answered it correctly. Again, with this thing as well, I want more of you guys to take part in this sort of quiz, right? It will help you, trust me, but for that you have to answer. Don't leave it on your co-aspirants, right? If they are answering, that does not mean that it's enough, right? These questions, I am take it like I'm asking these questions to you personally, so you have to respond it. It's not that your co-aspirant will appear for you in examination, isn't it? So with this difference, 2 questions, in fact 3. I have already asked you 1 question already, and that's everything in today's discussion. Enjoy your studies. I'll see you all soon tomorrow early morning. God bless you all. Enjoy your Sunday. Jai Hind.